XRP has been breaking through the all-time high. A lot of people think that the top might be in, but I actually think that XRP could be ready for 5, 6, 7, maybe even $8 for one XRP. In today's video, I'm going to explain why, and I'll be giving you guys my brand new trading idea. Let's start off on a monthly time frame, because what we can see on the monthly time frame is that right over here, XRP saw that massive pump late during 2024. That major pump over here, as always, left behind this massive bullish fair value gap on the monthly time frame. Now, this massive bullish fair value gap got mitigated once during the month of February 2025 and also once during the month of April 2025. After the double mitigation of the bullish fair value gap, it was also tapping into this very important previous monthly level of support right over here. It used to be a monthly level of resistance. Now we know that these monthly levels, the high term monthly levels over here, after turning into resistance first, if you reclaim them, they turn into support. And we can see that XRP was seeing a massive bounce from that monthly level. That's your alarm. Are you still paying attention? Are you writing down notes? Let me know in the comments down below what educational trading topic I should be making a video on next. The weekly time frame is already becoming a lot more interesting, because what we can see is that after this first initial impulse towards the upside, the price of XRP formed a higher low and then it formed a higher high. Now we know that price was breaking through an insignificant high right over here for the price of XRP. Why was it breaking through an insignificant high over here? Because this high over here only brought us to a higher low and not to a lower low, and therefore didn't carry any significance at all. Now this is what we call a fake break of structure. These fake break of structures are designed to trap people into low probability breakout long positions, which is exactly what happened over here, right? We can see these wicks to the upside, they indicate absorption of long and buy pressure, where smart money was then filling some sell and short orders. Now, a lot of retail traders got trapped over here, and they were placing their stops obviously beneath the low right over here, because this was obviously the low that started this impulse that gave us that low probability fake break of structure, and therefore this low was being used to cover their stop. Now we can see the price then saw an aggressive push to the downside to take those stops, formed a lower high again, and then it formed a lower low. Now since price formed a lower low over here, we know that a high that brought us to that low, aka the high right over here, becomes a significant high to break, because a high becomes significant if it brings us to a lower low, and a low becomes significant if it brings us to a higher high. So therefore this was a very significant high to break on the weekly time frame, and we can see that right now XRP opened and closed this candle, this red candle above that high right over here, confirming the break of structure back towards the upside on the weekly time frame after being in a bit of a local downtrend over here. And that is a major sign by the bulls, and means that based on the weekly time frame at least, this low is right now the invalidation for our bullish thesis around $1.60. Are you already a consistently profitable trader? Because if you're not right now, I have a massive deal for you guys. 14 days of access to the best trading community in the space, Tribe Capital, and all of that for just $1. Trade signals, educational live streams, educational PDFs, Tribe Talks, and so much more, all right now for the price of only $1 single. Guys, that's not even half of the price of a cup of coffee these days. Make sure to join through the first link in the description down below, and I'll catch you guys in the tribe. The daily time frame on XRP is even more interesting, because we can see that we can identify a very strong range high right over here, and we can identify a very pivotal range low area right over here. We can see that both for the range high we have a major pivot over here, a second and a third pivot, we have a deviation above the range high. For the range low we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 major pivots. A first smaller deviation being followed up by a second bigger deviation. Now we can know that we can trade this range until it breaks. We are looking at a potential breakout right over here. Now, where I was saying that first our initial invalidation for our bullish thesis was around $1.60 based on the weekly time frame. Based on the daily time frame, I would argue that our bullish invalidation is actually around $2 right over here, around this low. Why? Because when we analyze the price action over here on the daily, we can see that we were slow grinding towards the upside right over here. That slow grind resulted in a flush to the downside before price started trading back above this high. Now you guys know that this is my favorite continuation structure, so a bit of theory right over here. Slow grind up, flush down, trade back above that high, and then this low becomes the invalidation for your bullish thesis, and you can long any pullback towards the upside. Important is with these kind of continuation structures is that they need to align with your bullish bias. If they don't align with your bias, these continuation structures towards the upside or towards the downside are worth absolutely shit. Now right now we can see price traded beneath the low right over here, and then it started trading back above that high, putting in a very high probability break of structure right over here towards the upside on XRP, meaning that first my invalidation for this bullish idea was beneath this low. Right now the invalidation for my bullish idea is beneath this low right over here around $1.90. Now what currently is happening on the price of XRP is that it's retesting that range high area. And I find this very, very intriguing because while we are retesting this range high area, XRP took out some major sell side liquidity beneath the low right over here, right? Because we can see that this little low over here started this very aggressive impulse to the upside towards new all-time highs. Then price started consolidating. Now get into the mind of the retail trader. Retail sees XRP pumping towards brand new all-time highs in a very, very aggressive way, and it starts consolidating afterwards. Retail thinks this right over here is a bull flag. So once again, they start breakout longing the price of XRP. Those breakout longs need a low to cover their stop loss, and they were obviously choosing this low right over here. And once it got swept over here, they all got wrecked. Now what we can see is that as long as this range high area holds, XRP is bullish. It could even sweep back into the range right over here because we have some more liquidity resting over here, or even back into the range right over here. Now I'm expecting that if we get dips like this, they get bought back up very, very soon. What I want to see is at least one more sweep of this low right over here before I start positioning myself long. Preferably, I would like to confirm a potential breakout of here. What do I mean by that? I mean that I want to see a sweep of this low, or this low, or this low. But let's assume that we are only going to sweep the first low. Once this happens, we know that the high that brought us to this low, aka the high in this case over here, becomes a very significant high to break. So if price of XRP can sweep this low, followed by a bullish reversal and a break of structure back towards the upside, we can then long the pullback on XRP with our invalidation beneath this low, and then we can target, in my opinion, $5 for one XRP once this potential reaccumulation range breaks out towards the upside for a beautiful RR of 4. But what is very important with this sweep and with forming this low, with forming this pivot right over here, is the timing of price, guys. What I want to happen is for the monthly candle of August right over here to open, and then I'm looking at the August open all the way towards the end of day 12 right over here. Why? Because when we look at the monthly time frame on XRP and I gather the data of the last 5 years based on the timing of the monthly candles, we can see that around 88% of the monthly candles put in their first pivot in between day 1 and in between day 12. We can see that only 8% of the monthly candles put it in between day 13 and 15, and only 2% between day 16 and 18 and 19 and 21. We can even see that the last time that it put in the first pivot during day 13 and 15 on XRP is 20 months ago, guys. That's almost 2 years ago. So let's assume that the first pivot of the monthly candle for XRP is always going to be put in the first 12 days. We can even say 62% of the monthly candles put in the first pivot in the first 6 days, meaning that if we anticipate a bullish candle for XRP, the low will be put in of the bullish candle in the first 12 days. If we anticipate a bearish candle for XRP, the high of the bearish candle will be put in during the first 12 days, because that's what the first pivot is. It's always the first low or the first high that we form of a certain candlestick. So that would mean that I want this strong pivot to the downside to be formed in this timing period that I marked out right over here. Now, if we get that in confluence with this break of structure, then this becomes such a nice and strong invalidation for our bullish thesis, and you can blindly long the price of XRP right over here with your invalidation over here. And then, as I said, we can target $5 for one XRP. But guys, the timing of price here is absolutely pivotal. You need this strong low to be aligning with time. If it doesn't align with time, you don't use it as your invalidation. If you guys enjoy these kind of updates, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and then I can catch you guys in the next one. But also, guys, don't forget, less than the price of a cup of coffee for 14 days of access to Tribe Capital, the best trading community in the space. All these guys have to do, the first link in the description down below, and I'll catch you guys there. Ciao, ciao!